I'd like to call the meeting of the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment to order for April the 21st. And just a couple of housekeeping things. If you've got some kind of electronic device, telephones, they need to be silenced, please. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for April the 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes for April the 2nd. All those in favor? Everybody's light.
And I would abstain. I was absent last meeting.
Oh, that's okay. Very good. You weren't here last meeting, right?
That's right.
Do we have any continuances?
None today.
Okay, I guess we're ready for the regular agenda.
Item number 1, case number 13401, request of Sam Gresham for a variance to permit an accessory sign exceeding the maximum display area located at 1225 North Broadway Avenue.
My name is Sam Gresham. I'm the architect for this project, 400 Northwest 23rd. The sign request, our request, is that we exceed the amount, I guess. Am I doing this way ahead again?
You're just
I
fine.
didn't want to speak
You're
out
just
of
fine.
turn. We have a facade currently, well, it did in fact have 340 square feet of sign on it. The new sign ordinance, we've removed that sign, but there's a new corporate identity package that Mercedes-Benz is being compelled to apply to this building. It's been done across the nation. That signage that comes with that identity package is a larger sign. We're on the south facade of the building. We're limited to, is it 1 square foot of sign per 1.5 feet of horizontal distance? Our signage is not on the long face of the building, but is on the short face of the building. It's the sign that's marked R3 at the top. It exceeds the allowable signage on that facade, and then overall, the building occupies an entire square block, which we're limited again to signage on the building to 150 square feet, and our request is for 190 square feet to reflect the application of the sign that's marked R3 at the top, R8 there, and there's that panel at the back, which is E5. We're reducing our sign area by quite a bit, but as I say, we're an entire city block for this building, and our request is to increase the amount of allowable sign area on the building.
And this is a corporate thing. It's a corporate
we're being
package.
compelled. Yes.
Okay. If we were to disapprove this, what
We'd
would
go
be the...
out of business, bankrupt, and move out of the state.
Take your Mercedes and go somewhere else, would you?
No, but you can all have a car. I'll talk to the owner back there.
He's an architect and a comedian.
So there's no alternative to a smaller sign?
No.
Okay.
It's prescribed.
Okay.
And completely prescribed.
I'd move to approve case number 13401.
Okay. Second. Got a motion and second to approve item number 1. All those in favor? You approve.
Thank you very much.
What are they doing with the old signs?
We're going to, you want them?
Well, one of them I do.
Oh, that's the answer.
Item number 2, case number 13402, request of Hideaway 2, Inc. for a variance to permit the installation of 2 attached signs extending above the height of the building located at 901 North Broadway Avenue.
We're requesting...
Could we have your name and address, sir,
excuse me.
please?
I am Don Hill. I'm representing Meg Salyer and Hideaway Pizza at 901 North Broadway.
Thank you, sir.
And we have a sign that was... we'd like to do a sign similar to what was done back in the 1940s. It's a little higher, and it comes out over the public right-of-way. That's on the east side of the building. And I'm assuming... I didn't bring a slide, but I have pictures. Do they show that sign? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And I have a picture that shows what the old sign used to look like, and in that time, and it kind of fits the flavor of the neighborhood. Anyway, that's what we're requesting.
I've got a question. I like the sign, but the In the last application, it was pretty clear that we weren't overdoing anything with those signs for the size of the property. In the case of this application, we have to meet statutory standards here. Do you have a copy of those?
Statutory
Yeah.
standard.
Do you have a staff report?
Scotty approved it, but I don't have it with me. But I know it's been approved in Bentown through the Downtown Design Committee.
No.
No. Okay.
Or you can have this one if you want. I know what it says. So, yeah. So, the one that sticks out at me is whether or not it's this variance would be the minimum necessary to alleviate an unnecessary hardship.
We believe it is.
But you're gonna have to. That's a real good defense.
Use the same
Yeah.
phrase.
But we'd like to hear an argument as to why the sign has to be this size versus 2 inches shorter or a foot shorter, or
well, there's a
why
sign-
it couldn't be smaller than it is, because the sign that was you're talking about before was smaller than this one, I think.
Yeah, the sign to in reality, the sign to the north of us will be taller than us, and we're trying to stay in the kind of the same visual line. I think it's called
The
BMI.
sign to the north?
Huh?
There's I think it's at BMI or
Yeah,
something.
BMI.
But when I drove past that, it appears to be in compliance with the standard, and is not nearly the 11 feet that you're asking for.
Are we asking for 11 feet above the building? Yes.
11 feet, uh-huh.
Yep.
I believe I'm asking for quite 11 feet.
It says 11 in the application.
It appears from the other signage on that stretch of Broadway, there's only one other sign that's the profile of what you're proposing, and it's the one right there in your block, and it doesn't extend nearly, that far above the.
Could I step down and verify my dimension and come back up?
Sure.
Okay. Well,
Well, there's actually two signs.
yeah, the one on the side does not go above the building. It just comes out over the.
It's not exactly what it
Yeah, the
says.
one on Broadway is,
One's going to extend
It's on the
above,
street.
okay.
yeah.
Any further discussion? Well, I
Do
think
we want to move him? Do you want to hear the next one?
He wants a minute to look at his drawings. So if you want, you can move him to the end of the docket.
Okay, we'll do that, and if that's okay with everybody, do we need a vote on it?
Do we need a motion?
and,
I'd move to put this on the tail of the docket.
okay.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Number 3.
Item number 3, case number 13403, request of Manchester Green Homes for a variance to eliminate the sidewalk requirement located at 4320 Northwest 150th Street and 14951 Remington Way.
Good afternoon. David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, Manchester Homes, and also with me is Mr. Fincher. The packet you're receiving has 4 different pictures. Our application today is seeking a variance of the sidewalk requirement along Northwest 150th Street. The first picture you're going to see shows the area where the sidewalk would be required pursuant to the code. And as you can see, this area has some considerable issues. The terrain, there's a creek directly to the west of this, and then there are some large trees that would have to be disturbed and removed if a sidewalk was required. The second and third pictures you'll see in that packet will show you the house just south of 150th, and the applicant has already installed the sidewalk in front of that home. The fourth pic shows the property to the east to show that all along Northwest 150th, there are no sidewalks. So application of the ordinance here would create a sidewalk that didn't connect anywhere and wasn't functional, as well as I had mentioned earlier, the hardships that are created here on this property when you have, I think one of the pictures you'll see a little bridge that shows the terrain and the creek and the runoff. We feel that this application is appropriate for a variance, as that a sidewalk along 150th wouldn't be beneficial. And I believe the staff report shows no unfavorables, and we ask for your approval. I'm here to answer any questions.
Our ordinance provides for a variance, but in lieu of putting up money to do that in the future, if that's the case. Are you asking us to eliminate the money in lieu of?
Yes, sir. Our application also asked for a variance to that section of the code as well.
I forgot to look. Does Glardy have sidewalks? How'd they get away with that sidewalk?
This is just west of crossings in the Francis Tuttle, and it's, there's a lot of traffic there on 150th Street as you extend west from Portland. It seems like it would be, an inappropriate place to require a sidewalk. It's not an area where you would suspect, that you'd have a lot of pedestrian traffic. Most of the people that live in Remington and those neighborhoods are going to walk, within the confines of their neighborhood.
I agree.
Also, aren't there plans to expand that to 4 lanes in the future?
That's the reason for the fee. If there is a funded capital improvement for the street, that allows him to pay the fee in lieu of, because we don't want to have to put the sidewalk in and then we're going to come in later in a few years and tear it out. So he is eligible to pay the fee, so he's asking for a variance really to, if you don't require the sidewalk, then the fee's not required. It's all in the same section of the code, but he is eligible to pay the fee in lieu of.
What is the fee?
Do you know, David?
I am not sure what the fee is.
Hi, I'm Jim Fincher. I own Manchester Green Homes. Address? 8312 West Reno. I believe the fee was somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,000 for that stretch of sidewalk up there.
Isn't it also true that if they expand to 4 lanes, you may not be able to put a sidewalk in there anyway?
It is pretty tight. The right-of-way there, I think, is 50 feet from the center of the street, and I know there's a brick wall there that is just right there on the edge of that, or maybe even inside that area.
They've been putting sidewalks everywhere, and I'd be interested to know whether or not Glardia paid a fee or what they did, because sidewalks were required on all the plats at that point in time when they put that in. Be interested to know what that situation is there. Because this abuts Glardia, all of Glardia's property.
I think the
Glardia
ordinance
is
just
And Glardia may be prior to the arterial sidewalk requirement.
I don't know, because it may have been, because we did Esperanza almost in the same time period, and we had to put sidewalks on May Avenue that they tore out and redid.
As Mr. Fincher had stated, that this area, in application of the requirements that we have to meet here, it is really, really tight, and so the fee in lieu doesn't make sense in that the fee in lieu would make sense if there was a possibility of a sidewalk, but you didn't want to. The tightness from the wall to the right-of-way, if this ever expands, is another reason why we, in our application, sought the variance to the fee as well.
what is that distance?
I'm not sure of the exact distance.
Which distance are you asking? The distance to the brick wall?
From the right-of-way to the wall, to the existing wall.
It's give or take it's about 50 feet. That's the city right away.
Looks to me like there's room for a sidewalk in there.
Yeah,
I thought so.
from what we're seeing on this aerial, it looks like there's plenty of room. I know that some of the trees might have to be taken out or maybe adjusted a little bit, but
The drain, and that's why I think we're here, because of the hardship that the drainage issues, a creek runs right along there, And as you can see, there's a deep,
But if it's 4-lane, then that drainage issue is going to be taken care of.
by the city.
When that road is 4-lane, they'll
We
have
kn-
to put drainage in.
And do we know that it will be 4-lane, JJ? Is that planned to be 4-lane? Oh, it is. Well, I can tell you, I mean, that's why we're here. We think the application ordinance is a hardship, and I can tell you Mr. Austin's point. I was out there this morning, and there's a lot of traffic out there. When I went to take those pictures, I'm having to wait for cars and kind of go back and forth, and that's why we're here to seek the variance to the sidewalk requirement, because we don't think a sidewalk along this stretch is appropriate, and we think we meet the statutory conditions.
You know, I can see not putting the sidewalk there. I think it'd be useless to put the sidewalk there now. But I'm not in favor of waiving the fee for that. That's my opinion anyway.
I guess one of the other favorable considerations they mention in the report, the staff report, is the topography, the trees, the creek, the bridge. They make it unlikely or difficult to put in a sidewalk. Can you
Yes.
explain that statement?
Well, I think the staff's point is that with the trees and the creek, and there's a bridge that a property owner had to install just to get to his own property. I think the staff, JJ, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what the staff is saying there is that this location makes a sidewalk impractical and almost impossible based on all that. But I didn't write that. That would have been Mr. Chambliss.
Just identifying several, there's more than just one little factor. You've got the topography of almost a little creek that runs down that side of the street. You got trees in the way, and it leads directly to a bridge.
But your intention is to put the sidewalk on the Remington?
Yes, and it's
Facing.
been installed.
Okay.
And I think to the point of the fee issue, I think the fact that the topography and all that makes it an almost impractical and impossible situation, I think that gets to the argument that the fee is inappropriate too. If it was possible to do a sidewalk, but we just didn't want to, I think that's what the fee is set up to accomplish. A situation like this that is unique and has an area that, for all practical purposes, the sidewalk just won't work. I think that's why our request to have a variance to the fee is also appropriate.
Well,
If it
but
was
that-
just that I'm sorry?
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just going to say again, if we just didn't want to do the sidewalk, I think that's why the code contemplates the fee in lieu of. But I think this is a different situation that warrants the variance to both the sidewalk and the fee in lieu of.
JJ, if the sidewalk requirement is waived, does that automatically also waive the payment obligation?
That's his request.
So it's bifurcated
Yeah,
in two parts?
he's varying both the requirement for the sidewalk and the fee. They're under the same section in the code.
Yeah. I'd be opposed to waiving the fee personally, where I am with it.
Well, into that, like I said, I think the code contemplates allowing a fee to be paid in lieu of the sidewalk if it's an applicant that just doesn't want a sidewalk. Not only do we not want the sidewalk because this is a unique area, but as the staff indicates, it's impractical for this area. And it being impractical and almost impossible, I think that takes it out of what the code contemplates with the fee. I think the fee was designed to, if you don't want to build a sidewalk, then you can pay us. But it's not that we just don't want to build it. It's that it may not be able to be built. And that's how it's creating a hardship here. And we think we meet the statutory standards to take it out of that. And a variance to both are practical.
Yeah, I just disagree with you on that.
I think the fee is designed to, rather than put piecemeal sidewalks in. That's what it's for. And similar to a detention ordinance, you pay a fee in lieu of detention so that they can build regional detention facilities and that kind of thing. I mean, that's my experience with it.
Yeah.
And so it's probably not practical to put the sidewalk in today, but at some point in time we're going to have a nice big road out in front of that area out there, and sidewalks are going to be put in. and that's what it's for, is to say, if you're going to develop this stretch of arterial street here, is that let's put money into a fund for future use.
Well, if it would be all right with the board, I think we would maybe prefer to take a continuance to try to address this issue. Because, like I said, I think that the way the code contemplated the fee isn't this case. And so if with the board's approval, I'd like to just continue this to address this issue.
Till when? How long do you want?
2 weeks.
Okay. Move continuance until the next meeting. Is that
Second.
2 weeks?
A
Second.
motion and a second to move to the next meeting. All those in favor? Okay, you continued.
See you then.
Thank you.
Item number 4.
Item number 4, case number 13404, request of Santa Fe Cherokee Properties for a variance to allow a sign in the site triangle located at 4221 North Santa Fe Avenue.
Afternoon, I'm Jesse Rush, representing Santa Fe Cherokee Properties, and the location is 4221 North Santa Fe. We're proposing to put a roughly 3-foot by 9-foot 4 monument sign in the site triangle. However, the way the one street parking is situated on Santa Fe, you have to pull well past the sign to even see traffic coming from either direction. And also, the Oklahoma City Fire Marshal was out doing an inspection, and he requested a sign because he got lost on our property.
What's the setback if you observe the site triangle
From the site triangle?
from where you want to put the sign now?
Yeah, it's roughly, I think it's 15 feet from the right-of-way, but it's almost right up against the curb because of the way the parking is situated there.
From the photos I see here, it seems to me that you could place a sign back out of the site triangle and people could still see your sign because there's a lot of visibility right there on that corner.
Well, yeah, if you start moving it further west, it starts getting behind buildings and trees, and the owners feel it'd be pointless to put it further back.
The way it sits today, you could pull a whole car past that sign. The way that they want it configured now.
Yeah.
You could pull a whole car past it to be able to see up and down the street there.
You have to.
I think that's his point, huh?
You have to be able to see.
And even
And I think that's pretty evident from the UP trucks that they submitted.
Parked cars.
But the street parking is only to the south of that intersection.
Well, there is actually street parking on the north side also. It's just
There's a parking lot, yeah. But I mean, you're off-street.
Right.
And is it a sign that advertises there's a locator for Kimray? Is that who it's for?
Correct. Yeah. It basically points people toward our facility. We own more than a city block in that whole area, and there's different buildings, and it gets complicated. You can get lost pretty easily.
But I mean, this is a new need for signage that hasn't been there, because you all have been there for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah. The owners are trying to kind of update the area also. We're updating all the signage and trying to make it pretty.
I'd move to approve an application based on the fact that it does not inhibit sightline.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the application. All those in favor? You're approved.
Item number 5, case number 13405, request of Jesse Rush for a variance to permit a front yard fence with masonry columns located at 8101 East Memorial Road.
We're proposing to put up some masonry columns that match the...
Go ahead and give us your name and address
Jesse
again,
Rush,
please.
representing H&K Holdings, also David Hill, the owner of the property. The subject property is 8101 East Memorial Road. We're proposing to put up some masonry columns and a split rail fence that matches the existing fence and columns on the west side of the property. the owner's personal house. This gate and fence is the entrance, service entrance for the guest house. And the reason why it's kind of set back so far is because we have trailers and trucks and trailers that enter in there to keep them off the road, off the main road there.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. All those in favor? That's approved.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Two.
Item number 6, case number 13406, application for special exception of BCM Oklahoma to permit a 12,000-gallon above-ground fuel storage tank located at 9002 West Reno Avenue.
Afternoon. My name is Sean Hickey. I'm representing BCM Oklahoma today. I guess we've closed down one of our locations, and we are moving an additional 15 to 18 semi-trucks to this location. Our current fuel capacity is at 10,000 gallons, which is within the limits, and we want to also move our 12,000-gallon fuel tank at our former location adjacent to our existing one to service our truck fleet.
Questions?
I don't.
Is there any requirement for retention around that?
Yeah, these tanks, if they're above ground, they're vaulted, where it's really a tank inside of a tank.
Okay. But there's no ground retention?
Secondary containment.
Secondary containment. They're like in a concrete
Walls.
Yeah, inside of a concrete
and
container.
we have those at our other location that can hold 110% of the contents of the tank should there be a leak or spillage or anything like that.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion and second to approve. All those in favor? Approved.
Just so I ask, what's the next step since you've approved? Do I go back to the city office? Do I need a piece of paper? Sorry. That's my first time here.
Back to permits.
Thank you, sir.
Fill the tanks.
Item number 7, case number 13409, request of Lakehurst homeowners for a variance to permit 26 neighborhood identification signs encroaching the site triangle located at 8025 to 9025 North May Avenue, 2933 West Wilshire Boulevard, and 3133 West Wilshire Boulevard.
You can pull that down a little bit if you would like.
Hello, I'm Candy Dulaney. I live in Lakehurst. And we do not want to change the footprints of any of our signs that are already up. We just want to repair all the brick that's crumbling and the signs that have our street names because of all that ironwork is just rusted out. They're only 50 years old. So we'd just like to repair that and leave them right where they are.
So it's going to look like that?
Yes.
Like that?
We hope, yes.
Spend a lot of money in that.
Well, I would applaud your efforts to improve your neighborhood, and I would move to approve.
Well, I'll tell you what, we would love to have the sidewalks that other gentleman didn't want. So bad.
Second. Motion and second to approve. All those in favor? You're approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We got to go back to number 2, right? Okay.
Item number 2, case number 13402, request of Hideaway 2 for a variance to permit the installation of 2 attached signs extending above the height of the building located at 901 North Broadway Avenue.
Excuse me. I'm Don Hill, and do I need to introduce myself again?
No.
901 North Broadway.
You're fine.
One thing, I know why I'm here, and I know why we want the sign for visibility. We have lowered that about 2 feet after working with Rand Elliott, and I think it was Scotty. But one thing I'm having trouble with, I only hear out of one ear, and I don't hear high tones. I'm thinking I would like to ask for a continuance for the next board meeting and come back maybe with somebody who can hear a little better and explain a little better than me. Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay.
Move continuance to the next meeting? 2 weeks?
Yes.
2 weeks?
Second. And I appreciate it.
Motion and second. All those in favor? You're continued. Thank you, sir. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Motion. So moved.
All those in favor? All will do, I'm sure.